Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Rural Rapport. My name is Teresa Hoffman. I'm a Senior Communications Associate at the Center for Rural Affairs. Lawmakers in Nebraska returned to Lincoln earlier this month to begin the 2023 session. Public hearings on the more than 800 bills and legislative resolutions introduced have begun. One of those bills is LB 740. Working alongside the center, Senator Tony Vargas introduced LB 740, which would make it easier for owners of mobile food units, more commonly known as food trucks, to obtain necessary operating and inspection permits. Nebraska is currently operating under an outdated set of rules and regulations that were originally developed for brick and mortar restaurants. This bill proposes a set of changes that will streamline the permitting process and help operators to more easily take advantage of their mobile nature and expand their markets. Joining me today to talk about those changes is Scott Sheehan, president of the Omaha Food Truck Association. Thank you, Scott, for joining me.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.
Well, Scott, tell me about your involvement with food trucks and also the Food Truck Association.
Okay. Well, first, I started my food truck back in 2014. I hail from the old Piccolo Pete's restaurant on 20th and Martha Street. I worked there for 30 years. It was open 50 years before that, actually. My grandfather had opened it back in 1933. And then once the restaurant and my family had decided to close, I was looking for a way to extend the life of the brand and continue my grandfather's legacy. So that's when I started the food truck. We did a lot of our restaurants fair, traveled all over the state, up into Iowa, South Dakota, Western Nebraska, Kansas, and which getting into the food truck business kind of led me into the Food Truck Association because of the points that you just made. There weren't a lot of resources out there, so you knew where to start, where to go, where to park, how to get my permits. And so me and 10 of the other food trucks at the time in the area got together and formed the Food Truck Association in order to try to deliver and make it more affordable, make it easier to get started without running into so many, strips of red tape, if you would.
Well, one of the changes offered in LB 740 is the use of reciprocity agreements between the organizations who have the authority to issue annual health inspection permits. Those are the Nebraska Department of Agriculture and the 3 autonomous county health departments in Douglas, where you're at, Hall, and Lancaster County. First of all, tell me about the challenges food truck operators currently face having to get permits from those 3 jurisdictions if they want to operate in multiple locations.
Well, one thing a food truck, one of the things that's vital to a food truck is time. You're always in a hurry to get somewhere, to be open fast enough to be able to serve your crowd, and then be able to shut down fast enough to get back to get cleaned up, get ready for the next day, go, get yourself to the store. And basically with these different places or the different municipalities, you have to then take time. Now, I certainly believe in, operating a clean food truck and being able and following health standards. But what we have a redundant program here because we're required to do basically qualify anywhere we go, any different municipality or county. They require us to pass or prove and do paperwork and pay a fee to operate there. And it might only be for one event per year, but you're still paying the same as any restaurant who operates, year round in that area. So it's finding common ground. It's finding a fair way to make sure trucks are following, the rules and regulations, but also making it time, beneficial for them to not have to, I can't go here until I get my permit back. I can't, I got to come up with another $300 if I want to go do this event. So is it really worth it for me? And then, like I said, it's time, your effort of making sure the paperwork's done, making sure everything is signed and dotted and crossed. So time is probably the most important factor that you'd probably gain. And being able to use your truck and be out on your truck instead of were driving to Lincoln or driving down to anywhere else that would like you to bring them information and get their permit.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot to do. How are the rules and regulations between those districts different?
Cost is probably the biggest difference. I know Lincoln. I don't want to speak out of turn here. I haven't applied for Lincoln, but I think it's around $700 in order to obtain a license in Lincoln. Douglas County, it's $500, and then you move into like La Vista and Papillion and all the other little cities around. There's $200, $300 there. So cost is definitely compared to what you might gain from acquiring that permit. I don't know if they're even, because if, like I said, I might go to Papillion 10 times a year, right? And then I might be in Douglas County, and then I might be in La Vista, or I might be, in Cass County or in Lancaster, and paying those fees, $200, $300, $500, $700 to go to each one of those places really isn't conducive with a good budget. So
Yeah.
I think pay for the service, pay for the health inspectors to be able to monitor and have the proper resources in order to make sure they're safe. But like I said, it seems a bit redundant to me.
Right. Well, another thing, LB 740 would also require the Department of Ag to maintain a registry containing information about local ordinances and forms the operator will need to complete to operate in each municipality that regulates mobile food units. I'm sure you find a lot that, even when you're probably going to other communities, that those may differ. So tell me how difficult it is for operators to find a community's rules and regulations for food trucks right now.
Well, once again, it takes time. I mean, you call the county clerk, you find out who's in charge of issuing those permits, whichever, like some municipality it might be, and you either go there, contact them by phone, and figure out times to make sure you can make it down there to be inspected by their inspector, or however their process works.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's just a matter of research. And once again, you're using your time where you could be out selling, or finding a location or getting new customers, and now you're traveling an hour out of town to prepare a month from now when you might participate in their festival or fair. And so it's a little difficult. But what I do think is a positive thing, as you mentioned, that you're going to see once they create that. Okay, so now you're going to see, oh my gosh, man, they have to pay everywhere they go. So it'll be a good thing. They'll see that maybe food trucks maybe that'll lead to the next level of just operating on a fair level, and like just like a restaurant would, or a plumbing service, or any other place that just has the one permit, and then they can operate throughout the year.
So you definitely think a registry would help
For sure.
operators. Yeah.
Oh, well, operators yes, knowing where to go and what rules to follow, because you always have to beg forgiveness and not ask permission, because a lot of times you don't know you were supposed to have that permit.
Mhm.
And having guidelines on what to follow, then you won't run into those issues. And also, it'll bring to light the fact that maybe food trucks are paying a little bit more than maybe they should to operate in the state.
Mhm. Definitely. Well, everybody, welcome again to the Rural Rapport. I'm talking with Scott Sheehan of the Omaha Food Truck Association about LB 740, introduced by Senator Tony Vargas this session in the Nebraska Legislature. Finally, Scott, I want to ask you a little bit. The Nebraska Department of Ag, the bill is looking to also create a pre-opening checklist for operators to use as they prepare for inspection. This is something officials in Douglas and Lancaster County already provide, but in the rest of Nebraska, operators are asked to rely on a checklist originally made for brick and mortar restaurants, which, as anyone can probably guess, it leads to confusion. How would a checklist meant specifically for food trucks help?
Well, being that we don't have one now, it would certainly be helpful for those new people coming in. That is what we did at the Food Truck Association. We saw that as a problem 10 years ago. Okay, where do we go? How do we get our permits? How do we operate legally? 10 years ago when I started, the ordinance that was in place was put in place for the ice cream man. And so the ordinance, it was a peddler's permit is what they called it. And what that does is it gives you a half an hour to sit on any street corner where you're not creating obstruction or violating anyone else's business, and be able to open your doors for half an hour. But then at that time, you could be asked to move. So you have a hot fryer, your grill's up, it's not conducive with, I get up, it takes me 45 minutes to get my truck warm, ready to sell. I open the gate, I can sell, for half an hour, and then I've got to move. So that created a huge problem at the beginning because there was no real law. There was no real path to follow. So we got together and started taking all of those individual problems and just seeing what kind of solutions we could put in place on our Facebook and our website. We have a list. We have some, where to start, who to talk to, the connections with the Park Omaha, Douglas County, and all the other different health inspections, the Department of Agriculture, of course. And so vital, very important to get you off to a good start, because the food truck business, it's your margins are very slim, because it could rain, it could snow, it could be 120, and then you don't really operate very effectively. The crowds don't show up, and you lose your whole day or your whole weekend. So it's having that's an advantage. It's definitely an advantage.
Always have to put up with that weather in Nebraska.
Right. It's
Definitely.
80. Oh no, it's below zero. So
Well, great. Thank you, Scott, for taking time to join me on a Rural Rapport. Just for our audience, I've included links below to more information on LB 740. The bill has been referred to the Legislature's Agriculture Committee. Hearing has not been scheduled, but we'll keep you updated as to when that will happen. If you'd like to keep up to date on additional progress on the bill and others we are following this session, sign up for our updates. I've included that link below as well. Thank you for joining us today for the Rural Rapport. If you'd like to learn more about the center, visit our website at cfra.org. Have a good day.
thank you.